In 1999, I traveled to Central America with a college Christian environmental group and saw a whole new world of possibilities. Nature intact, people living in harmony with nature in small communities, living simply. The people I met felt like long-lost soul brothers and sisters, especially Mandy. We challenged each other to remember what we had learned there and to never forget once back in the United States. Over the years, modern life crept in, and we struggled to accept that, because we remembered living simply so well.
Every time I come to town, you know you look so sad when the show is over, you are happy again. Tell me your boss don't respect you, and neither does your man.
Mandy was trying out marriage, mortgage, and money making. And I'd been in and out of different types of corporate jobs and grad schools for law and photography. We were just not living in harmony with our values. Eventually, we started moving towards a simpler lifestyle. Connected to the earth and to each other. We had been so happy. Could we find that again? Hi. If you could do anything you wanted to do and money did not matter at all, what would you be doing?
For KRXA, this is Tomorrow Matters, Talk Radio for a Better Tomorrow, the premier spot on the West Coast for solutions to environmental and social problems of today for a better world tomorrow. What does sustainable living look like? Who's got it figured out? And where are those places out there that we can learn from? These are questions we have and you have, and we need to find out answers, and we need to share those answers. And my guests today are on a cross-country quest to find these answers themselves, document it, and provide the rest of us with the story.
So we're trading in our house and cars for a tent and bicycles.
And we're going to travel thousands of miles around the U.S. to visit 100 sustainable communities.
Let's do it.
Wow.
Fossil fuel, cheap fossil fuel, let us be the first people in the world who had no real use of our neighbors for anything. We could get everything we need. You know, if you have a credit card, a telephone connection, everything will come straight to your door. We took that as the American dream. It turned out it wasn't quite as much fun as we thought. We no longer have as much connection. The average American has half as many close friends as an American 50 years ago. Eats meals with friends or family or neighbors half as often.
My wife and I lived in a series of intentional communities, and that has inevitably shaped my view of the world enormously. You know, until 150, 200 years ago, everyone was living in smaller communities. Many more of us were farming, producing more of our own stuff. We knew how to repair things. We knew how to make basic tools.
Self-sufficiency is a myth. We cannot do it all ourselves, so why not do exactly what we love and all work together, and it's so much more fun.
We are going to be more localized.
One conference led us to northern New Mexico to a community called Hummingbird Ranch, where people were living rurally, growing food, building houses out of the earth around them, doing all these amazing things, and really intentionally learning how to get along better with each other.
I visited Hummingbird for about 2.5 days, 5 years ago, and simply had a good feeling. It's something about the commitment to live together, to work together, to alchemize together.
And so community for me is that smallest unit in which we recreate the kind of intimate dynamics that tribes and small communities had, and we actually have the ability in that container to be a living laboratory of all sorts of new systems. And at one layer, there's very basic things. There's people living, growing food together, sustainable technologies for the energy systems that they're living in, sustainable buildings, all the basic kind of food, fuel, shelter kind of qualities. And a lot of eco-villages are really focused on getting in right relation with nature.
After the years of exploring sustainability and greening the world, I really was blown away by how much more we can do towards that goal together. I was starting to get a picture that this was a movement. This was not just a few communities or a few people doing some weird, unique things out there. This was actually a lot of people moving towards a whole new society.
As we can see the kind of pendulum swings that happen. You know, we started in the early days as we came into tribal consciousness, the other pendulum swing, which is individuals. And what comes with it is a sense of alienation. And now we come back into relational dynamics that support us in being whole together.
What does it mean to care deeply about the well-being of all life? What does it mean to care about your neighbor? What does it mean to try to find more peaceful ways to resolve the conflicts that arise between groups? How do we care for the natural world as well as have a really high standard of living as human beings?
This is possible. I know it's possible. So where is it? Those are the kinds of things about sustainability that frustrate me, because I know they will be here. I know they are possible, but they're not here now. So how do I live now? I do the best I can, but it's not as what I know I could be doing. Same thing with my home, same thing with money, same thing with the community. How can you be as sustainable as you want to be right now? What if you don't have the money to get there? How do you bridge that? So that's another thing sometimes in community we talk about what our ideal is, where we are now, and the gap. And how do we live in that gap?
At the conference, we learned about IC.org and found out there are thousands of people living this way. We decided it was time to go find a way to truly live out our values, so we started making plans to visit more communities.
So, how are we going to get there?
They used to have an all-electric car, and these days it's hard to get that, a plug-in all-electric car.
We're like really happy to have the bike here.
We've been waiting for this bike for so long.
Is this the biggest bike in the world?
So we decided to ride bicycles because it was cheaper and healthier for the environment and us.
I think this one goes in here. I think this locks over this, but there's supposed to be two poles.
Sunrise, boy, there's a holy day of freedom. I need to run like I should run.
Twist this way.
Heading for the ocean. Me and old Jerome. Heaven is a long way off unless it is your home.
Here's Mandy on the day of our first bike ride day. She doesn't want to get up. It's 6:45.
I do too. Here we have sprouted veggie burgers. This is sprouted black beans. Here's the sprouted beans. So we just can sprout these anywhere on the road. Very nutritional.
So even starving bicyclists can eat good.
This is probably like a $2 sandwich at most. And in GDO, oops, no worries, still tastes the same.
Like I should run, heading for the ocean, me and Oberon.
Are you ready to really commit to this journey?
My greatest fear on this trip was Ryan giving up.
You're not worried about yourself giving up?
No.
I mean, we can't quit now. We just got the logos tattooed on our legs.
What is sustainable community? Two very important ideas kind of woven together as one, and they really have existed for me in two distinct realms. Community is something we have whether we like it or not, whether it's working well or not. We all have it. We have the community of our office job or our neighborhood where we don't know our next door neighbor's name. Sustainable is an idea about preserving what is beautiful and preserving something, not eating it, burning it up, using it up such that it can't be found later on.
Nothing can really be sustainable unless everything is sustainable. I mean, if you don't treat the entire universe as one system, every little thing you do within it will completely fall apart. But part of the problem with the whole word sustainability, which is not my favorite word, I prefer the word regeneration, because we're putting things back together. As Bill McDonough says, who wants a sustainable marriage? You want something that's exciting, that's regenerative, that's going forward. You don't want it just to be sustainable. It sounds a little bit boring.
A lot of the discussions around environmental sustainability tend to be about negativity and what you shouldn't do, and all the things that are wrong with the world. And I know Bart and I both tend to get depressed when we hear the way people talk about things. But I've learned from watching other communities and from just my own feelings around these issues that it's not the negative things and the hate that motivates me. I think that love is a much more powerful motivator, and thinking about what can we hope for and what can we work together towards.
And I think when you put community into that, it's about a community where the group has decided to live in these ways and aspire to these ideals. And so I guess you could have a community that was far from perfect, that might be called a sustainable community because their commitment is to evolve in that direction.
What do you think we should do, Rains? Our luscious long bike and our trailer broke down.
So why do you take my incumbents?
Great idea.
I'm honoured to be in your movie in such a low carbon way as this. It's fantastic.
Transition towns are basically a whole town becoming a sustainable community. All these cities around the world, like 500 now, are already doing this.
Actually, the only way that we're going to really pull around in a way that addresses people, climate change and economic unsustainability is by localization.
Thinking about how we can move towards a local culture which is sort of fostering our well-being on every level to the greatest extent, I think is the essence of Transition Town.
How do we live lightest on the planet and enhance our own quality of life at the same time?
Co-housing is a very grassroots movement of people wanting to create a better housing model, a better neighborhood model that works better for raising their children, growing old together.
Instead of having single-family houses equidistant across the landscape. And one of the ways to do that is so that you can actually, you know, when you walk down the lane, the idea is that you have as much community as you want, as much privacy as you want.
But what really makes it different with an intentional neighborhood like co-housing is that you're sharing common facilities, like a common house. It forces you as a neighborhood to get together and create a community to both manage those facilities and then to figure out how to make the most of it together.
That being part of a neighborhood where you really know each other and in a way that you're not necessarily best friends, but you look after each other in the old-fashioned way.
What makes this house like a community is that there has to be a fair level of participation. We don't want people that are living here that just want cheap rent.
We all are so independent for the most part. You know, family is so important, and I think the co-op in America has the potential to be what families are in places like Mexico.
Using one burner to feed 23 people, sharing clothes and skills. Moving into an apartment, cool, you're going to have your own space for a week and think it's awesome, and then remember your carbon footprint's going to get a lot bigger.
And I kind of have the personal philosophy that we're here to share our lives with other people. So living in a co-op is kind of the accelerated, expedited process of sharing your life. And that's kind of why I enjoy living here, because it helps me bring out the gifts that I have. We all have gifts. And the way to bring those gifts out is to surround yourself by others.
So yeah, let's get that going in this country, and I think sustainable communities like co-ops are a great way to do that.
Robert Gilman is one of my heroes. He's one of the people who started the eco-village movement, and he has a definition of eco-villages that I love. Human scale, full-featured settlement, human activities harmlessly integrated into the natural world with multiple centers of initiative, and which can be successfully continued into the indefinite future.
And we work through consensus, which I think in a way helps you to see how you can cooperate with 20 people in the room and see what the best thing is for the group.
The key issue here in sustainable social dynamics is how do people work with one another on issues where the stakes are high, that is, the outcome really matters. This is not a trivial issue, and they have substantive differences of view about how to do it. How does that moment go well rather than poorly? How does it become a place of unification or of synergy where something new comes out of that discussion that everyone feels a part of rather than somebody wins and somebody loses?
When it works, it's awesome. When there's a lot of conflict in that process, it's really difficult because it does break our spirit. There is many times where it miraculously works and we just like, all right, we consent, let's move on.
I think it's important to live sustainably because we're running out. We're running out of stuff. I think communities are really what we're going for, and there's so many people already doing that gives me hope.
When you're at mile 80 and you're really, really hungry, you got 20 more miles to go, go and have a meal. Drink more water, keep on going, have a meal at the end, and you're really, really happy. That'll be the best of luck on your trip.
On our way out of LA into the desert. We're just getting started on this journey, and I can't wait to see what else is out there beyond California communities.
I want to create life and harmony and goodness and joy, and every single moment is an opportunity to do that.
Woo-hoo! Free camping!
Good morning.
Good morning.
This is our home until we find a new one.
There's a picture of your heart. There's a picture of your heart. in stone and painted black, with no plans of looking back.
What are we, like 3 days without shower?
Take me to your shower.
Painted black.
I started being a nudist the day I was born.
For me, learning to live sustainably has not been something that happened as if a light bulb went on. It's a continuous and gradual process. I'm learning how to do things in ways that make more sense. It's not enough poultry to give all the eggs for the community that it needs, but right now we are kind of trying to figure out how to do the distribution of eggs, and of course we had to get breeds that do well in the heat. Part of sustainability is how you feel about social connection. Here I have friends and I just have to get out of my front door and I see them, and there is so much richness of social life interwoven into everyday life, which I think is one of the things that co-housing does really well.
We're a family of 5, 2 adults and 3 young children. And we started out here in the house. We rented a house that was more than twice as big as the house we're currently in. And we started realizing, hey, we don't really need this much space because we have a craft room that we can hang out in. We have a kid room. We have all these other areas outside of our house, and we no longer need as big of a house as we thought we did.
Making some permanent labels. All the labels I've made so far, they just get old so quickly in the sun. So I'm going to try this.
My neighbors are people that I can turn to. I can share the dark parts of myself as well as the joyful parts to myself, and they don't turn away from me. And so I would say they feel like family in many ways more than they feel like a neighbor.
Sometimes there's a change in the ocean. Oh, sometimes there's a change in the sea. Oh, sometimes there's a change in my own truth, but there never ain't no change in me. I'm rolling my sweet baby's arms. I'm rolling my sweet baby's arms. Just lay around my shack till the bell train comes back. Then I'm rolling my sweet baby's arms.
We're finally on an interdependent bike, like our relationship.
Yeah.
So we just left Sonora Co-housing. I spent 10 blissful days in the Tucson area, meeting some really amazing people. Gosh, and leaders in love and sharing. I wonder if he's coming to say hi to us.
It's our friend Jeff Copper. Who else is riding a double-seater bike around the country?
Chance and coincidence, everything happens. Here we are in the same place at the same time. Interesting.
Well, now try on life. It fits like a glove, and feel what it's like to be free. Try breathing and seeking to be an instrument of love and encourage one another on the journey. Give thanks to the land and the sky up above, and pour your energy into building a community.
Yeah!
Oh, now make a space for the traveler to stop and put some love and be a shelter from the rushing and the pushing and the shoving. Let the
These walls are made of recycled paper, papercrete.
Look good, organic food and lots of bright flowering plants. Put it in a pot and stir it up with lots of love. Roll out the dough and fire up the cob oven. Dig into the dirt so we can take a stronger stance. Educate the late to be creative with resistance as we try. On life, it fits like a glove and feel what it's like to be free. Try breathing and seeking to be an instrument of love and encourage one another on the journey. Give thanks to the land and the sky.
It's amazing. People in Texas, you gotta love them. My thought going into this was, we're gonna be camping a lot. It's winter. It's gonna be really cold, and I had no idea that we were gonna have so many people generously offering us places to stay almost every night along the way.
This is the note we woke up to.
Say Happy Thanksgiving, you guys. Yay! Woohoo!
Woohoo! Right on!
Here we are at the inspection station, Border Patrol. Hello.
U.S. citizens?
Yes, we are.
Y'all have a good day.
All right, thanks. Have a good one, you guys.
Hi, puppy. Oh, it just hit me this morning too. It was like I've been feeling great for, the whole trip, like 1,700 miles, and all of a sudden there's a wham.
It's a crazy, intense city, trying to figure out this huge mess that we're in, and trying to figure out how to reverse engineer it and get ourselves out of this, and to make a transition, honestly, into a more sustainable society. And that's the biggest challenge that's in front of us as a species.
To some extent, I've been reincarnated. Like the businessman, the guy who existed 10 or 15 years ago is dead. And for the first time, I realized that it wasn't my plan that was going to get me there. It was actually listening. And I essentially changed my strategy of life to be one of listening, and listening to the spirit, to my emotions, to the people around me, and not being like driving to get to what I thought was going to yield that particular sensation. My intention really is to bring that style of living into an urban context in the US. For example, how closely do we hold to the clock? And here in the urban context, it's normal to have almost a religion of the clock. Like you have to show up on time or you lose your livelihood.
So something I've been struggling with today as we've been biking is being on a time schedule. Mandy often arranges for us to be at our next communities on a certain day at a certain time. And I tend to be from Planet Mellow, and I think the rest of the world tends to be from Planet Urgent. And Mandy, in her ability to keep up with Planet Urgent, has often ambitious plans for us to make it to places, which is great because it keeps up with everybody's time schedules and their needs. But I feel like it's not really keeping up with our needs, which are dealing with so many different factors as a bicyclist on a long distance tour, and it really stresses me out.
Would this maybe have been the, was this the tripod, you think?
So we're down to our last, what, $800 a night? How much do we like? Basically, to eat, we're going to keep using that. We're not going to have the money to pay our monthly bills.
$39.51. Flax seeds, tea, mangoes.
Definitely had some stressful conversations about all the things we needed to do to earn money, and we were starting to get really overwhelmed. And so I just got fed up and basically quit on the project, and the way I did it was very horrible, and I'm so regretful and ashamed.
I ran out of the restaurant. I thought this was the end of the project, and Ryan said that. I'm done with life.
As I stood up in the Denny's restaurant, I slammed the computer down on the table 3 times, cutting my hand on a piece of glass, and walked out.
We're gonna stay together, Ryan and I, and we're gonna try to make what we've created even more beautiful than it's ever looked before. And I mean, I've seen the worst side of Ryan now. I've seen the true extent of the darkness that hides within him, and I've seen the extent of the darkness within myself.
This you and me moment.
A willingness to look at oneself. That's really the tendon, the material that keeps people together. Like it's the willingness to endeavor this act of love, which it is, you know, we're all endeavoring an act of love and sharing ourselves with each other. What I've experienced in community, and part of the reason why I've chosen to live in community, is that communication and love are much more of the currency that holds us together.
Together, our mission was more important than the little intricate details of our relationship. And that's what kept us going. And we both knew that we wanted to continue doing this together. There was nowhere else we would rather be. Well, what happened? Well, what happened is that the bike that we chose to ride, these 2 side-by-side recumbents tied together, it's a very, very slow bike to ride. And we had planned to be across the country by now, which is why we were running out of money. But luckily, our executive producer stepped in and helped us out with some funding.
Ain't got much money, ain't got much food. Still can't like those that do. You got a job just so we could pay for all the things that get us to our jobs.
Last year I lived entirely off of dumpster food. A lot of times it's the day it expires, or the sell-by date. They have to throw it away. It's, you know, the law.
Living life on the road definitely wasn't easy. Not knowing where I was gonna sleep the next night, or where my next meal was gonna come from, who we were gonna meet. You know, mostly it was wonderful people, but there were the occasional, you know, run-ins. All across America. We've traveled 3,000 miles. So.
Just move with the chief. You need to pack up your stuff and leave. Ordinance against you staying under this bridge.
So we got treated pretty
Abruptly.
yeah.
It's like, hey, you, get out of the tent.
Yeah.
Hey, you in the tent.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, we were naked in the tent.
Yeah, we were in our sleeping bags, and I'm like, okay, sir, we'll get out. You don't need to yell at us. He's like, I'm not yelling at you. My voice is just loud. And I'm like, okay, sir, well, we'll get out in just a sec. Can we have a few seconds because we're naked? He's like, what are you doing naked in there? I have a dream of building a house someday, so I feel it's really funny that people call us homeless, or there's this word homeless. I'm home full. The whole world is full of homes. Anywhere. We can pitch a tent or lay on the ground and sleep anywhere we want.
There are things about the planet that are collectively owned. They are a human right in the same way that they are an animal's right, in the same way that they are the earth's right.
My ideal is seeing holes cut in between fences in suburbia, and it's about land not being private, it's about land being a collective space that is there and that is shared, and that children are running around and creating community, and that goats are running around and creating community, and that chickens are going from one place to another.
In the Netherlands, they have a law built into their constitution that it's legal for anybody to sleep anywhere, private property or public property, for one night and eat the fruit of the land for that one night, and nobody can say anything that it's illegal. Like you have to let people do that, and then you have to move on. I think that's great.
This is a little slice of heaven. This is amazing.
This is what we've been looking for. Cool structures like this. Oh my God.
So this is where the artist lives, and then the studio is where the artist works. Anybody can build an interesting house. This isn't just the domain of Dan Phillips. Anybody can do it. The difference between Dan Phillips and everybody else is that I have the nerve. All we have to do is make sure that they have the nerve, and they come up with some wonderful houses. This one is underway here, built by a dad. There are no studs in the outside walls. Those are just blocks of wood stacked and nailed up. And those little buttons up there, those are hickory nuts. The whole town is proud of these little houses, and you would be surprised across the board, across the aisle, Republicans, Democrats, rich, poor, all of them are very proud of these houses. It gets everybody involved. And I put in a lot of wine cork floors. That's great because everybody gets involved. Dan, I brought you some corks. A little lady will walk up with 3 corks. Oh, thank you so much. And then another one will come up with a whole bucket full and say, don't tell anybody where you got these. Everybody gets to drink wine and contribute to sustainability. And cork floors are expensive. I mean, get your checkbook ready if you want a cork floor out of Architectural Digest. Wine cork floors are free, vastly more interesting, and you get bragging rights. Now you can say that's the Chateau Petrus 1953. We had that with pork rinds.
Just say something really quick.
Something really quick. Oh, sorry. We just crossed into Louisiana from Texas. We have been in Texas for 2 months, I think, and it was a good trip, but I'm glad to be out of Texas and onto the Bayou State. Or the Creole State, or Mardi Gras State. I don't know what it is.
Well, I knew a beast with eyes made of smoke. He ate up my water, had a dip in my jelly roll. He stalks by moonlight down to the solid ground, and the earth will quake with the sound.
Wow. Look at that. There's a boat on the land right there. It's just like sitting on the land.
Your shroud.
Oh my God, you can see them. It sounds like a freaking swarm of. Oh, it just sounds like a plague.
Shit, the tent was open again.
There's a couple. Last night we got hundreds of them in here, huh?
Yeah. We're on this side of the Mississippi and we're crossing over to the New Orleans side. This ferry that we're taking is going to take us like over there by the aquarium. We're in the neighborhood now of the lower Ninth Ward that was completely devastated by Hurricane Katrina. So the Make It Right New Orleans homes that are funded by celebrities, starting with Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie. There's only 4 of them occupied, and there's hundreds to be built and that are already funded. I can already see from the road the Make It Right homes. They're gorgeous to my eye because they have solar panels and they're bright colors and angled ceilings and all this. How are you rebuilding community here then? Like, are you growing food together at all, or what are the?
They intend to make this a farm for the neighborhood, and they're gonna have a couple of these, you know, in the neighborhood. But I have a garden back there that the people at Common Ground built for me. You didn't see it?
No, we'll go check it
come
out.
on. These are tomato plants. That's an eggplant. I got to get the wood for another one of these because I got cantaloupe up there. I got strawberries that I brought from North Carolina, the strawberry patch thing. And then I want to put watermelon seeds because we had all that in the garden before Katrina came in our yard. I got those. My electric bill is like $38 a month.
You're talking about the solar panels?
Yeah.
Yeah.
$38 a month. This month,
great.
this month was the highest one I had since I've been there, $79. When the city approved our water, I got 2 bathrooms that's gonna be on rainwater.
Wow.
They're gonna be on
great.
rainwater, but the city ain't approved it yet. How is it that you make a house like that is so efficient and you don't keep processing that? If something works, you keep it up. Why not make more? In the long run, you save, people can save doing it, so why not continue on making it like that? I mean, I don't know. But we've been in here October, so it's like a little I've learned. It's not like a lot that I've learned yet, but I'm getting there.
Even for, you know, people who are suffering from extreme poverty and natural disaster, you know, change is still hard.
Another day on the road. There's still a long way to go. I am so looking forward to being home. And I'm remembering a child who devoured every mile, even on some never-ending fan.
But by the 1930s, communities were in such, the sense of community was in such a poor condition in this country that people started promoting community and intentional community for its own sake. And so you find from then on places where the primary motive of the people to form an intentional community was to actually have community in their lives. I am a big advocate of consensus. I don't claim it's the only good way of making decisions, but for most groups that use voting, it would be way superior. The Quakers say that voting is violence. It's the violent imposition of the will of the majority on the minority. One of the interesting things that's not well known in our culture is that our culture is as destructive of community as it has been of our environment. And we need a communities movement as much as we need an environmental movement.
Back in the 70s when the farm first started, and, there was a lot of people come in, just with backpacks on, just coming in on backpacks, lots of people just heading this way.
You've been along
I just recall that I never had been among such friendly people in my life. They were shining, their eyes were bright, and they were sincere. And these are the people that jumped in the caravan and school buses and founded this community.
We live our lives all are one.
So Mandy and I had long heard about, of course, the communes of the 60s. We'd always wanted to go visit one, but there just weren't many around. In fact, as far as we knew, there were none left.
You know, we were young hippies. The revolution got, co-opted. People were starting to say, well, forget all this, let's just go back to the land. It's not going to work going through the system. We need to just go back to the land and figure things out for ourselves.
What happened was that we metamorphosed because we became responsible for each other. We became responsible for ourselves.
I think we're finding the ways to live in community, to live on the land that doesn't involve rejecting the mainstream in a violent way, but how do we transition in graceful, healthy dialogue?
And I thought, well, what we need to have, we make our money as a collective, we buy the land as a collective, and what we need to have is a group practice.
The glue that held us all together was the spirituality that Stephen Gaskin was encouraging among us all. It existed among all of us. We were naturally spiritual people. We were hippies and wanted to save the world.
Meditating out in the meditation field, oming as the sun comes up over the hill, and deliberately sending out a vibration of love and peace.
There's hippies who are for peace, but we are the hippies who are for peace, who are peaceful about being for peace.
We will raise the vibration and keep it as pure as we can and as loving as we can. I have high hopes.
I was a law student in New York City. I graduated and walked the Appalachian Trail and wound up in Tennessee at the farm. In the process of going through that Appalachian Trail experience, I had forgiven my father, I had forgiven my mother, I had come to a sense of, okay, but I don't have to repeat their mistakes in my life. That's not incumbent on me. And that I needed to do things to meet my needs that were much more original to me. This is one of the first permaculture courses we did back in 1994, where the water, we had it come into a swale. The swale actually catches all the water runoff from the lawn area. And so when I came and got the exposure to the farm, it was really a very deep sense of belonging. They didn't proselytize, but there was a very high level of conversation, and it was all kind of interwoven with the daily life. Hey, Nate, if we wanted to put down a sheet metal barrier on that side of the garden? It was what I was yearning for at a very deep level. My focus became this project here, which was the Eco Village Training Center. Our objective here was to create that methodology, and it became this program of action learning, an immersion atmosphere. And so we cherry-picked. We took the best stuff from all over the farm, rainwater catchment and living roofs and cob buildings and straw bale buildings, and concentrated it all in this one location so that people coming in could immerse themselves and learn from the process of interacting with all those different elements what it might be like in their own personal life to live more ecologically.
I don't know if this is a native or not, but it's
really subtle.
Oh yeah, it's a wonderful smell. I'm going to take some for my community. Goes way beyond the borders of the farm, and so I'm interested in developing my piece of land off the farm.
Is that what this drawing is?
Well, this whole drawing is a permaculture design for a 5-acre parcel that includes 2.5 acres of forest. Forest that is regrowth after being clear cut in the past, and this includes plans for native species, edible forest garden, and some orchards and some raised beds. You can raise enough food for thousands of people on 2 acres, so You know, my hope is that we could support several people, several families on this land and be a demonstration for others. Whatever our gift is, we're meant to give it.
For us, sustainability is about more than solar panels and, you know, solar water. It's really about how do we pass this on to another generation so that they carry this work on.
We created a tribe, and our whole generation has planted seeds for you guys, you know. So here you are, beautiful. I see people, you know, with your beautiful eyes and energy all over the country, and here to make a difference.
I feel like my life is kind of coming to a climax. I don't know, it's a weird feeling, like years of soul searching and self-identifying coming to a climax of, am I really a hippie? Because this is what hippies are like, and I'm like, heck yeah, I'm a hippie.
And I always thought that the communes were so horrible, you know, the way they were, their lifestyle and stuff. Yeah. But there was a lot of things that I look back now, and I'm saying they had an idea. I mean, they were good ideas. They really were. And now we look back and we see all these people who are all growing up in our culture now that you know, with long hair, and they're still the old hippies. Yeah. But they've had a good time in life. They really have.
These are nice hippies.
No. Farm has some amazing ability to just, like, yeah, make you see inside yourself. Okay, I admit, this is a better than usual lunch.
We're having baked tofu, Amish cheese, and organic carrots in a wrap.
I am going in. You didn't fuck up. The camera fell over, caused by a truck, right? In the midst of this beautiful experience that I just had with the waterfall, which I think is one of the highlights of the trip for me, the camera fell over when a truck blew by, a big Mack truck with a trailer. It's okay, sweetie. You didn't do anything wrong. So, here with the most beautiful experience I had on the journey, at the same time we had one of the hardest experiences of the journey. So, ironically, it's probably going to balance this day out.
Look, Mom, we do keep clean on the road.
Your lips taste like American spirit. My hands look like It's been a long tour. Last night's failure is 400 miles away, but tonight could be over if only you let me stay. Baby, it don't take that long. And two rights don't always make it wrong.
The search continues.
Darling, listen to me. Life doesn't
By most standards, our lifestyle would seem anything but abundant. But after more than 6 months of living without my own house and car, I never imagined just how abundant life would be.
What do you think, babe?
Breathtaking. I think you have like a 6th sense for beautiful camp spots.
I do. I love finding a good spot.
We're out in the middle of nowhere. We can update our map to let people know where we are.
Through our solar panel.
Yep.
Appropriate technology.
This is amazing. High-tech tent.
High-tech tent.
So we're bikers, cross-country traveling with laptops, film equipment, a Wi-Fi enabled phone, and a solar panel with internal battery pack that can keep us charged. This is awesome. We're totally off-grid.
And technology can especially be a good thing when it's powered by a sustainable source like the sun.
Red Moon Herbs is an herbal medicine company that has been at Earth Haven for about 10 years. And we focus on harvesting the common local plants and making medicine from them while they're still fresh, so they're very potent.
We realized we needed power, enough power. We put in a hydro station.
They're growing oregano all over the place.
I feel like the information that people really need to know how to live is not in a textbook, and it's not really in an institution for the most part. You know, most of the limitations are mental, because I don't feel like people my age are told that they could be an alternative building contractor and that they could be on the cutting edge of passive solar design or renewable energy systems. They're not told that they could start and run their own farm, and it's really the ambitious and arrogant and aspiring few that actually do those kind of things. Whereas I really think that most people have the potential, and what they lack is the confidence and to be pointed in the right direction.
Hey! Oh, no way! I made it! We're really glad he's here.
I'm going to start at Earth Haven and go with you guys up to Twin Oaks and possibly on to Washington, D.C. What is community? What types of community are there out there? How can I start community where I'm at? Are the valuable questions.
Sometimes you gotta stop. Nothing I got that I wouldn't give you. You know, and that's what it is. You can't help people. What the hell is this being here?
Oh, yeah. Look in here. Look how far deep it goes back. It goes like this whole shelf goes back 3 feet back. So you've got hundreds of years in here.
Guys like Boone are the heroes that don't get press. Yeah, special guy.
What I'd like to do is take that urge for self-sufficiency and say share that with friends and do something along the lines of your motivation of self-sufficiency, but not all by yourself. Do it together. It has to be together. We need the power of togetherness. That's the way we are. That's the nature of human beings, just like the nature of gravity is to pull something down.
When I ride and I feel like I'm in the zone and feel like I'm just in tune with the bike, my body, the earth, I feel like that's why we do what we do. That's why we challenge ourselves. Well, some people think, and I even thought, biking 100 miles a day or biking day after day after day, 4,000 miles across country, it's got to be crazy. Why would somebody in their right mind do that? Well, for me it's challenging myself to stay real, to stay alive. And if I stop challenging myself in life, then I'll end up settling for something that I don't really want. It's like lubing keeping my joints lubed. Gotta work them. It's just like working my body or continuing to stay active in any way, but out in nature, all the beautiful scenery around us, it makes it really easy.
A year ago, the only idea conceptually I had of community was a commune.
Right.
And to know now that there's, the 4 or 5 variety that we've highlighted is crucial.
As a world, we're collectively transitioning to a more sustainable way of life, and to put the message out there that we can do it a lot easier and better if we are in community with one another and loving one another.
Yeah.
That's something that I will love to share. Are you going to come with us on the bike?
I'm thinking about it. I'll do it if you do it.
Yeah, we'll do it.
I think we'll do it.
Yay!
You say, hey,
I say, where are my homes?
Here's comfrey. This is a lot of people consider comfrey a weed. They don't even let it grow.
Sandy is very impressive. It doesn't matter how vertical the hill is, give it an 85.9 degree angle and she's still pedaling up it while we're walking.
They went out looking for a community, but I think what they're doing is bringing community with them.
We would go to these pockets, and everywhere we went, there was somebody doing something. It was really inspiring. I'm exhausted, but I cracked open.
paints us
30 plus miles.
Don't you feel
today.
like you deserve this hotel?
Yes, I deserve it. I need a break.
Yes.
So.
All right, good for you for being a superhero.
That's not the kind of French vanilla that looks very healthy. That's.
Yeah. How do you feel?
Refreshed, really refreshed.
Rachel, how are you feeling?
am feeling actually very good. I can't believe I actually did it. We did whatever we did, 40 miles. I did it.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
Right on.
But now I am horizontal. I'm no longer vertical. And I want to stay horizontal for the rest of this evening. So it's a little interesting sleeping next to your bike. And my water bottle. Oh! I had to avoid the.
Sorry, got a little bit of that on film.
Best road ever. Nice. Best road ever! Oh my god, what is this? It's like carpet!
That's gorgeous.
Did you see the camera? Because you almost ran over it. Okay, just making sure. How many acres is this again? I think
260 acres.
260?
Yeah, we have 200 acres is woodland. 60 acres is open land. You're wondering about our housing, where it is? Yeah, so it's on about 3 acres. Oh my God. Which is kind of a rare combination because housing seems to trump farmland a lot. But this was trying to be an example of relatively dense housing in a rural place and a working farm, rather than spread all out all over the place. Keep it kind of dense, keep the land that's really fertile for growing things, and the land that's not so fertile happened to be the hillside, so that's where our houses went.
Yeah.
You can go across the land and just keep going that way, and you'll pass this elm tree. You'll see the fields and crops, probably someone working out in there.
Store their own, they can do that.
This is a farm like this where we're trying to develop, solar power and alternative technologies that are, very high tech, and linking that with something like horsepower, which, is a thousands of year old technology. And so it's sort of like, we're not just looking at the past, we're trying to create this sort of blend, this fusion.
I buy beef from here, and I buy eggs and cheese and maple syrup and milk, and so to me it's huge that I can buy those things here on site.
This feels like the simple life.
Can you imagine if every town had a farm community like this?
Started by Dana Meadows, who is a professor, adjunct professor at Dartmouth, and she came up with an idea of having a co-housing community that had 3 distinct parts. So there would be the co-housing community, there would be the farm so that people could interact with land and nature, and there would be the institute where people could do research. She called it a think-do tank.
We wanted to have a community that had an agricultural base. Not that everybody had to work on the farm, but that the community and a farm were co-located.
I came from the suburbs and I know nothing about living on a farm, and coming here, my husband's learned how to milk cows. We have learned how to raise sheep together, and we now produce some of our own food.
This is the aging room.
It's very hard being a farmer, so spreading out the energy, the human energy out, and also the fiscal and financial investment among a lot of people makes a lot of sense.
I've had the opportunity to learn how to can food, to learn how to make soft cheese, to freeze meats, freeze vegetables, do all sorts of ways of saving time, saving energy, and eating more locally and living more sustainably than I ever possibly could have on my own. I love to read books and learn things through books, but it's so much better to learn it from somebody else who's doing it, and it's more fun that way too.
On the surface, it looks like an Eden. It looks totally wonderful, and it's also tricky because most of us in our culture, we don't know how to live in community.
It's harder for us in America because it's so optional. I can move in or I can move out. If I grew up in a village in Nepal in the mountains in this one little valley, there's no out. You have to make it work.
But a lot of people don't have that experience of having to compromise, you know. And yet I can say that I don't like it so much. You know, it's like, yeah, it's hard. But I also know it's the price you pay. It's like 260 acres. I could never afford this myself. Getting most of our food from the land, or 60% for our family, about 60% of the food. That's an amazing thing. You know, that's really wonderful.
Getting involved in a village or even in a town center, you know, it doesn't have to be a built thing, but a group of people who really work together and have at some level an agreement that we're going to work this out when we get into the tough spots. It's an intention.
Everybody here is committed to, you know, let's tread lightly on the earth as much as we can. Let's take care of the planet. Let's be sustainable. And it's huge to live with a group of people that have that as a base. For me, I feel like my husband and I are living closer to our values than being here.
Those are the mountains that surround us, mountains of intention to work with each other.
What are you doing?
I'm writing a note to the community to say thank you.
Came up this big hill to the eco village at Ithaca after biking like 60 miles, and I'm totally exhausted.
Yeah, we all could use a little mercy now. We may not deserve it, but we need it.
Sustainability is about everything. It's not only the social aspect is just as important as the environmental aspect.
You can't study them in separate disciplines. We have a lot of hang-ups in our society about how culture is so separate from nature.
The way we're treating the planet is really connected to how we're treating ourselves and how we're treating ourselves socially too.
Well, we moved to Eco Village at Ithaca in the summer of 2002. Although we weren't knowledgeable about living in community, we were very interested in a place where we could raise our two sons in a vibrant, larger community, and we were also very drawn to the educational mission of Eco Village at Ithaca.
You guys did great. Now we're gonna cut the notch so that all this dust, you see the dust is collecting on top.
We can make a timber bundle with that.
Timber bundle's right underneath it. You can see it. It's kind of red. It's red. You see sparks.
Part of this program is getting kids to just empathize with the natural world, to see their connection to it, to see how it can provide for their needs, and to see how they can also improve the natural world, and that it's a beneficial relationship.
It's just so fun. I mean, these kids have such a good time. They, I'm sorry. It's a nursery. Okay.
If you're comfortable.
Yeah. Okay. So they get so much from being out here. We try to bring as little things as possible and gather as many things as we can. So, you know, we'll bring knives and we'll bring maybe some things that we found ourselves, maybe some cups, this pot, and different things. But we really try to get them to realize that they can have fun out in nature for big chunks of time without anything. And they do. They really enjoy it. And and they get to see that just because it's a rainy day, they don't have to stay inside. It's a big community building piece of them getting to see the younger kids come in, the older kids move on, and they like sharing their skills with each other. And I'm learning so much myself. Slow.
Good job.
Yeah.
A few weeks ago I decided that I wanted to try being a mentor.
Well, I just think it's fun to be out in the woods and stalk stuff. I like to make spears and I like atlatls. I painted myself. I don't know, you might still be able to see my hands and maybe my face. It's fun to go to Trivial Pursuits because you can make new friends. You can learn about nature. And I like making the fire. I made a wand with gold, this kind of gold moss and autumn leaves and coal. Gives you all the powers that you need.
So you like having an imagination out here?
It's not imagination. It's a real one. I'm a tiger.
So I see eco-villages like Eco-Village at Ithaca as being a teaching tool and a learning tool. I mean, we really don't have all the answers by any means. We are kind of bumbling along, experimenting, figuring things out as we go, and we try to adopt the things that really work well and let go of the things that don't. We chose early on to create something that was more available to the middle class. We didn't want to be off in the woods someplace. We wanted very much from the beginning to be integrated with the broader society. At the same time, we are restricted because of our location. We're right in the town of Ithaca, New York, which has very strict building codes and zoning. That has influenced the cost of the homes. So even though we haven't fulfilled my dream of having lots of really affordable units here, we have reached a lot of people. And as time goes on, we're figuring out more and more about affordability.
You got 5 boys as well as your own place. Yeah, that's pretty cool. 5.
Thanks. Great. Here's a little
I have a lot of stress and anxiety because of money. Right now, we're out of money. We have like $12 in our bank account. I admit, like, I'm struggling with wanting to settle down or quit for a while, but, Mandy wants to keep moving forward, and that's been turning my world upside down because that helps me see things from another perspective. Not only that, it does feel good to move on. It feels like we're unstoppable and nothing can stop us.
I shiver, I shake, I nearly break. Don't know how much more this heart can take.
How's it going? It's my right to film. It's my right to film. It's my right to film.
It's not your right to videotape this property. Sir, it's not here. Arrested. Take the camera and shut it off now.
I've been really having a tough time lately. This journey is full of rewards. And the struggles, they're hard.
Hoping that your heart can be saved from heartbreak.
I can't just get up from having had no sleep whatsoever. and then not even eat food right away. I have no energy. And then to have this happen, it just put me over the edge. I can't. This is an unhealthy lifestyle to be going on like this. We ate unhealthy food yesterday. This pizza actually tastes like shit. I don't even like it.
We're not gonna live this lifestyle forever, you know. I have to admit, I've definitely been thinking about a lot of negative thoughts lately. Just, you know, the fact that we're homeless and the fact that we have no money. I don't even know why we're doing this 12,000 mile trek anymore.
Hoping that your heart can be saved from heartbreak.
I'm totally grateful that I've gotten the opportunity to spend 4 months in this amazing monastic spiritual community. I've learned how to deepen into my Tibetan Buddhist spiritual meditation. I've learned how to deepen into a struggling startup community. They've only been here for 2 years. I feel like I've been learning to give more while living in community.
Taking time to live in a spiritual community for a few months where every single person there help each other out no matter what. That was such an awesome opportunity.
I was just cleaning out my room and I found all this stuff.
I would say that the thing that has sustained us is our spiritual practice and the trust and connection that we've created through being practitioners in a similar meditation practice.
The community has to be based upon values, has to be based upon values held in common. A community has to be not facing, looking at each other, but everyone facing out and looking at larger benefit.
Which leads us to Thich Nhat Hanh, who was a renowned Buddhist monk, has been attributed with saying that the next Buddha may not be an individual, but a community.
In this new millennium, we have a chance to change the way we see other beings, to one of connectedness and unity.
For the past year and a half as we've been doing this, it's lost its focus, it's lost its clarity. It's been, oh, we've got so much, oh, we can just stop. Like,
when you asked me what makes you passionate, 10 years ago I would have said sustainability, because that was the name of my game. And now when you ask me 10 years later, it is to support people. And what I realize is, as Jenna was saying, is that it was really important 10 years ago to feed that fire, to be the ones holding that anchor. And now there's a generation of folks that have gone on that bandwagon and have taken that dream and are making it reality. And so that's the evidence of what you've been seeing going around the country, is that there are these great communities forming.
we're doing that now, but like there's this part of me that wants to sit back and reflect and look at the map and see all the places we traveled, and it's like, nope, keep going. And you're like, when do I ever get to stop and just appreciate and enjoy?
I think as we all travel, we all do this piece. What we're being asked to do is really
know how to come back inside. That is who we are. That is our true essential nature. And so when you're tired, go there, rest there, be that. And then let the movement come from that place. Don't get caught up in what you think is real. Come back to what is real.
After 5 months of being at Joyful Path, we decided to get back on the road. We could actually get to 100 communities by visiting a few more around Wisconsin, a few more in the Midwest.
If you read the first section of Sand County Almanac, it is really explaining to you the beauty and the excitement and the love of understanding the natural system and how everything is interconnected. Dad wrote, "There are two things that interest me, the relationship of people to each other and the relationship of people to the land."
Beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, purple mountains, majesties above a fruiting plain somewhere over the rainbow, way up.
Is going on this journey what other people need to do to become sustainable?
You do not need to get on a bike and bicycle 6,000 miles across the country to be sustainable. It's been a long journey for us. I mean, I've been a person seeking a more sustainable life for over 15 years. Look at what you can do right where you're at right now, one step at a time.
And the dreams that you dare to dream really do come true.
History really provides for me a useful perspective. You know, I go to the medieval museum in Paris, for example, and see all the riches. I mean, just all of the beauty that people created so long ago, before any of this technology, you know, and the beauty that of this project that it can offer to other people is just a place where the technology is just, it's suspended outside of here, you know, so that you can come and see, what does it look like without that? What do we look like without that? You know, what kind of relationships can we create with ourselves and our environment without that?
By starting petrol and electricity free, just by biking onto this piece of land, we became one of the smallest footprints in North America.
The sustainability movement that I've been involved with since the 80s has been up against this wall and hasn't pushed further beyond it. And while celebrating all of this spectrum, part of the Possibility Alliance, what's alive in my heart, is to go through that wall.
Bum, bum, bum! The zing. We have 5 practices that we do every week. Radical simplicity, service, political social activism, inner work to become better, more loving human beings, and gratitude and celebration. Caterpillar. Butterfly. The bowler. Nice to meet you. Our guess is that those things will actually create kinder human beings. So if you come back in 5 years and I'm a complete jerk, you'll be like, end the experiment. It is not working. The reason I'm in this outfit today, representing the Superheroes, which is our service arm of this organization. Over 500 people are involved, and we send people out on bikes with no plan except serving whoever they come across. City park, a church, a radical bike co-op. just ride, and then when we see someone, an old lady is mowing her lawn, hey, can we help you?
That's beautiful.
We love bikes because on the bike you're the most efficient thing known in the universe. It takes 100 calories to walk a mile, 30 calories to bike a mile. The superheroes can send 50 people out for a month doing service 8 hours a day, and it's less money than the salary of one nonprofit employee.
Yeah, it's something we know we wouldn't do.
What we attempt to do here is to just live out our truth and live out our values. And the end result is that people feel compelled from within themselves to seek out where they would like to change. And my first experience meeting Ethan maybe 6 or 7 years ago with the superhero ride was exactly that. He was one of the first people that I saw fully embodying his vision and not compromising himself.
Interrupt this interview. For just $3, you too could get a push mower. Helps you have the Gandhian physique, and it's better for the environment. Thank you.
We have 80 acres, and now we have a few satellite projects. Anyone can come. There's no need to pay. You could move here if you're excited about the vision and be taken care of. Eventually, set up a school where people actually attend this school for a year and get all the skills that they need to live self-sufficiently on the land, and then give the abundance to others, and it keeps spreading. And all of a sudden, you get the irresistible revolution. Everyone's giving, everyone's receiving, and you can't even, kind of like nature, the sun and the earth and the wind, you can't even pick where the giving and receiving ends.
It might need a little spicing up, so there's several different condiments you can put on it. The green tomatillo salsa and I'm not sure what this is, hot peppers. Danielle made a beautiful salad. It's partly salad from yesterday and some new things, lettuce and chickweed and organic apple.
I've been here about 2 months and I'm doing an 8-month internship, so I'll be here through the end of October. I was surprised at how easy it is. I thought it would be somewhat of an adjustment, and it just hasn't felt like a struggle to me at all. It's just been like, all right, it's dark, so we.
Oh, that was awesome.
Okay,
So yeah, it just seems like I've really enjoyed it a lot, living without electricity, and I feel like things are more of an adventure. Like, it's dark, and so I get the candle, and then I go into the pantry, and I'm looking for things, and now I can walk through the workshop at night in the complete dark and the pitch black, and I know where all the benches are and where I need to go to get to my room. So it's just like I'm kind of becoming more aware of my surroundings and just learning how to do things in a different way.
Lights, action, camera, love saves the day. Everyone's got their own rhythm that they got to play. Oh, saves the day, that's what I say. Oh, love saves the day. There's a million ways to pray. Love saves the day. With love, everything's gonna be okay. Oh, make your way. Oh, spread your wings and take to the sky. Be alive now, cause the next moment, child, you might die.
There's a lot of emotional, like, inner work that happens here, and it can be kind of scary. Are people gonna see like my dark areas and still love me? But luckily, people here are just so supportive and embracing of like everyone's humanness, and that's a huge reason it just like feels like such a breath of relief to be here.
So, yeah.
Throughout the day we have the bell of mindfulness, and it's like we work and then like take a moment to like be where we are, become present, and so like we don't get lost in the thought realm, or like the monkey mind, as I've heard people refer to it here. And
is that the mindfulness bell right now? It's the clock.
It could be. We could take a moment.
We could take a moment. Let's take
a moment.
I love the Possibility Alliance. I'm just not sure I'm ready to live totally without electricity yet.
Me too. And I have a black and white spectrum when it comes to intimate relationships. On one hand, I totally, extremely value them. On the other hand, I've had some pretty rough experiences with intimate relationships in my life. Part of the challenge in community for me is pushing myself to accept intimacy as healthy and something that will cause me to grow.
Good morning, sunshine.
Morning.
Did you sleep good?
Pretty good.
I got a kink in my neck.
Not enough hay in the barn.
No. Pretty cool barn, though.
They had no room for us in the inn.
Yeah, that's a bad joke. I'm not Jesus. Stop
Our
it. With,
Savior has been born.
Stop it with the Jesus jokes. I get them all the time.
Are you gonna go back to sleep?
Yes.
Me too.
At Dancing Rabbit, we do not have a joining fee. However, you do have to be able to do two things. You need to be able to house yourself in some way, and we have a pretty open policy on what housing looks like here. Some people have built a whole fully functional personal home, and some people have lived in a tent for many years.
We've combined the reusing and reclaiming material and the natural building aspect together to make housing for people.
This is an earth bag structure. Basically, it's just bags thrown together with a bunch of dirt thrown on top on the outside, and we planted some seeds there to make it look pretty.
And it took a little over a calendar year to finish. I spent roughly $3,000 on materials, so it was pretty cheap.
And a lot of times people visit and they're like, oh, I can't move here. I don't know how to build my own house. But all the people that came before you have probably built their own house, which is a really great part of living in community. Like, you can be working on something like, oh no, what do I do now? What do I do about that? And you go and ask your friend.
Hey, you all want to do some heavy lifting with us? Whatever you want. See if we can. Ryan, won't you swing this way a little bit?
I really feel super powerful. Like I have a lot of agency. I've learned how to operate a circular drill and I know how to change the bit. I just feel it's really empowering to know natural building techniques. All of these things make me feel like more of a human being.
And what we're doing here is putting 3 buckets of sand and 1 bucket of clay, and then we're just going to start stomping it. It's just a little stomping action. You get good exercise, dance, do it with your friends.
What I love about community is that you see the results of your handiwork right away.
Well, a lot of the people are doing this. They're putting like cob on one wall and straw on another.
Yeah, I think it takes probably more human time
Quite a
to
bit.
build it,
Try to
but
put it out.
I think it's
Build it
totally
out.
worth it.
We wanted to create like an example of how people could live sustainably, not assuming that it would be the only way people could live sustainably, but just an example. And we wanted it to be a large enough community to really have like a fully fledged social and economic structure.
Our dream of running an eco-inn at Dancing Rabbit Eco Village kind of happened by mistake. I wanted to run a bookstore, but because Dancing Rabbit is located near a town of 103, I really didn't think I'd sell a lot of books. So we thought and thought and thought, and the answer was right in front of us all the time.
We get hundreds of visitors every year,
And some don't want to camp or can't.
We want people to be able to come, and even if they don't ever join or they're not interested in joining, we want them to come and learn and experience what it's like to be in a straw bale building and what it's like to work with solar and wind power, that it's kind of seamless. It isn't really a hard thing. What is it like knowing all your neighbors?
The song means a lot to me because we had tried so hard to put down roots in the Appalachians where we thought we belonged, and never in a million years thought we would like belong on the prairie.
I knew that something special was going on here, but I thought it was a lot smaller and less developed than it actually is. The dream and the vision that I've held throughout this journey of living in a village of people actually living conscious lives, building with the earth, living with the earth, growing their own food. I've never seen anything so alive and vibrant.
Well, I might take a train, I might take a plane, but if I have to walk, I'm going just the same. Kansas City, Kansas City, here I come. And it's a crazy way you love me, and I'm gonna give you a song.
Well, we're just kind of hunkered down there, you know, with a blanket, with a little comforter over us. The windows blew out in the south, and my son says, let's try to get the bedroom door shut. Well, I couldn't get one of them shut, but we finally did, shut the bathroom. But the bathroom was intact, the kitchen was intact, but it was pretty scary. When it hit the house, I'm thinking, this is where I'm gonna die, this will be it.
The tornado unfortunately wiped out most of the backyard fences, and when they rebuilt the town, they decided we're not going to put up those backyard fences again. We're going to have more of a community here. It's not just an eco-village, it's not just a co-housing neighborhood, it's an entire city that's decided we're going to be a sustainable community.
After the tornado, one of the first things that we noticed as a community is the resilience and determination of the citizens. We did community planning as a group, not 7 or 8 individuals sitting behind a desk at City Hall or at the county courthouse. It involved the whole community.
We were all level at the same level. Okay, everybody lost. Okay, so what if your house isn't, you know, the best insulated? But if you're recycling, hey, that's one up. You know, when you can, maybe you'll insulate better. Wow.
Whoa, very cool.
I love it. We need to get away from, well, if you're not doing it all, you're just not good enough. You have to accept everybody where they're at. And when you start accepting them where they're at, we keep the dialogue going.
It's about doing what you can within your limits, and so for some people it's riding a bicycle instead of driving a car. For other people it might be digging a geothermal well to help keep their heating and cooling costs down. Different people can be sustainable in different ways.
When Greensburg decided to reinvent itself as green, it just made a lot more sense. It's really changed the awareness of really everybody in town.
And your priorities in life change really fast, so the things that might have irritated you about somebody before,
you learn to get over it.
Yeah.
You think twice about what you say now because you never know what could happen tomorrow.
And being together as a community is way more important. And the green has helped us, and being a sustainable community has helped us, because I think it's saved us.
If you intentionally and consciously live in a very sort of community-based eco-village kind of thing, it's like living in a normal community times 100 in terms of what you learn in terms of working with people. But there is still the fact that you're largely living with people who you've chosen to live with. And how we take the skills from that and apply them in neighbourhoods where people who are living with a lot of people they haven't chosen to live with and who may not have a great deal in common, some of those skills will transfer and some of them won't necessarily transfer. And for me, I think it would be dangerous to assume that the model created by eco-villages and intentional communities is a universally replicable model. And for me, the big work of the next, maybe we could say the first 20 years of this work was piloting it and trying it out in the laboratories of eco-villages and intentional communities. The work of the next 20 years is to transition the existing communities, the longer established communities.
Every community has a disaster of poverty, a disaster of drugs, a disaster of rundown neighborhoods. The disaster's there. How do you handle that? We in our society have become backyard, back patio people over the last 40 years. We came home from work, we raised the garage door, we drove in. If it was in the winter, we went in, turned on the TV or read a book or whatever we did. If it was in the summer, we went in the backyard on the patio. Oh, and by the way, we built a fence around our backyard so that nobody could see us. It's time in our society right now, and for me, it's truly sustainable. We get back to where we're front porch people. Because when we're front porch people, we wave at the neighbors. We see the people walking down the street. We develop those relationships and have conversation. So if there is an issue comes up, we already have started that conversation and know these people.
This is happening right now with real people that anybody in America could relate to. And for me, that's a beautiful picture to see.
Although America has a reputation of consuming an awful lot of stuff and an awful lot of energy, nonetheless, there's something about the American disposition which is often predisposed towards wanting to create community.
For us, we realized there were certain physical aspects that were important. We really wanted to live in a rural place and in somewhere that was growing food.
A place near water. We wanted a place near a train station. We wanted a place that had a spiritual practice or a spiritual emphasis.
In a place that was sharing a lot of things. But most of all, we wanted to find a place to call home.
After seeing 100 sustainable communities across the United States, we were certain that this country was alive in community.
We just wanted to find a place that fit for us and go try it out. We wanted to live there.
So after going through this list of what we wanted in community and finding the communities that had similar traits, we actually ended up finding the community that had most of the things that we wanted.
I went out looking for ways to practically reduce my carbon footprint and live more simply, and looking for answers, looking for who was doing it, how were they doing it. And yeah, I got exposure to all of that. And it was brilliant wisdom. And beyond all that, I learned to look inside myself for answers, for what next steps to take in my life.
My life isn't so important. How can we here help others somewhere else?
I can really look back and say, I'm a completely different person in what I wanted out of life. Basically, I could say that I learned that the focus of my life stopped being about me and it started being about others.
So your suitcase is your home, but you've lost the urge to roam. And the roots within yourself that take you to your wealth is just another day that you would not call your own. Though the journey is your drift and the distance is your rift, but your wandering will cease with your liberation peace, and love will smile and say, welcome back home, welcome back home, welcome back home to the love that you are, to the love we all are. Welcome back home. Welcome back home. Welcome back home. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome. move into the place that knows how to make a new reality. I've tried to live in a mainstream life, and I know it's not for me. So reach within our hearts, find a dream and a start we can build on, and let's go straight to the soul. It knows the way we can play and be fulfilled on. We can see what's meant to be for you and me, for humanity in a garden of harmony. Come with me now, my love, on the adventure of a lifetime. I can't promise you comfort, but it will bring us joy. And I know there's a bridge out there that will take us home. So ride by my side into the sun and the rain and the rainbows. Now let's ride side by side into the fun and the sane, to where our dream goes. We are free of possibilities. Anything we dream, we can be in a garden of fertility. All along this road we found a life beyond the American dream. All along this road we found pioneers on a new frontier. All along this path we found gardens of cooperation, of regeneration, of liberation, showing us the way. And it's within reach, and it's within reach. Yes, it's within reach. Live, oh live with me now, my love, in this new society. Let's make a life on the other side of this bridge into sanity. We ourselves, yes, we are seeds of a new humanity. So let's go for our dream. Leave this life, live the life that we choose to, and let's stay and redeem a loving life. Become my wife if you choose to. Come with me into community, right where we should be, where we belong, in a garden of love. Yes, we are free, you and me. Anything we dream, we can be, and it's within reach for you and me, and it's within reach for humanity. is within reach to have our family in community and live a life of sustainability. Yes, it's within reach when we reach within and we bring it out. So let's sing and shout that the dream is within reach when we reach within and we bring it out. Now let's sing and shout that the dream is within reach when we reach within and we bring it out. So let's sing and shout that the dream is within reach when we reach within and we bring it out. Now let's sing and shout that the dream is within reach when we reach within and we bring it out. So let's sing and shout that the dream is within reach when we reach within and we bring it out. Now let's sing and shout that the dream is within reach when we reach within and we bring it out. So let's sing and shout that the dream is within reach. Right where we should be, where we belong, in a garden of love.
Me, I'm a new thing. I got my own game. I got my own people and I got my own name. I got the galaxies in my imagination, creativities to bring to the creation. You are another brand new human being, living and a giving and a growing and a shifting. In everything we do, the other is affected. That's right, we humans are interconnected. My family, billions and billions. My family, all of the children. My family, my family. My family, my family.
The deeper message is to be encouraged. Everybody can do something. We can be sustainable. Even if you're in the suburbs somewhere, you don't feel like you have a community, there are things that you can do to reach out. There are schools, there are churches, there are street markets sometimes. There are places where you can actually go and reach out to people and try to support your local community. Think about going to a local, shoe seller instead of going to the mall. Think about, supporting your local vendors. They need you, and your community will be much stronger for it.
There's so many elements of living in community that make your life easier. All you have to do is let go of how you thought your life was going to be and maybe embrace something that could be incredibly better.
Community is going to be the key to survival. Community is going to be the key to survival.
Wow.
Okay. Well, I would just yes.